Okay, let's go. I played a game today, and it was not an part of the external competitions for the club that I play. It was actually internal, so I played against a clubmate. I don't often share those, and I haven't in a while, I know, and I don't really look at those because most of them aren't interesting. Because either there are a couple of strong players, of course, but I am probably at the I'll consider myself to be on the side of the strong players in our club, and I'm probably one of the worst players in that list. I think you could argue that I am, let's say, shared last with someone else out of the strong players. So internally I either just absolutely demolish anyone that's below me, or I play an interesting game against one or two players, or I get stomped. That's it. So generally those aren't very interesting. But today this one was kind of interesting, so I thought let's look at it with the engine, because there's something really funny that happens. I played black, and my opponent played e4, e5, knight f3. I played knight f6 because, I don't know, I wanted to try stuff. I'm not sure what to play, and I just played something random, and we'll get where we get. And I know this a little bit. You go here, and I believe the main line is d4 here, and then I play d5, and that's where my prep ends. But my opponent played knight c3, which is also interesting. I looked at it, and I really wanted to play anything other than taking. Taking seems okay, but there isn't anything else, I don't think. And this is just like experience. I don't play this, I don't know this. But I think anything else just is bad. Like d5, you get queen e2, and then d3, and you have to play queen e7. Oh, and not d3, you just lose the pawn, and then position collapses and stuff, because you have to play like here, and maybe that doesn't quite collapse, but yeah, I mean, it loses a pawn at least. And the knight just goes back, and maybe then you can take, but that's not great again. But yeah, I just took. My opponent played d takes, which makes complete sense, of course, because the bishop just develops very quickly, and these pawns are together. But it's like it is something in theory. In a endgame position, this could be a slight plus for me in theory. Yeah, I played bishop e7 with the point of, well, preventing some checks, maybe castling immediately, maybe bishop f6 quite quickly as well. And yeah, just this is the developing move. There is also, of course, the move d5 here, and then developing normally, but then maybe c4. And I didn't want to take, because then I'm just down in development. So I just played bishop e7, simple. We just develop here, bishop e3. Actually, I play bishop g4 here, which gets kicked. And because, well, that makes sense, otherwise you have to play bishop e2, which is also fine, but I think if possible you want to go to c4. Yeah, it gets kicked and kicked again, and maybe you can even go to g2 here. But my opponent doesn't do that yet. My opponent has actually placed queen d2 here, which sets up long castle. And I mean, that's basically all it does. This is not really a thing yet, but and like this can be a thing, I guess, but Right now I'm totally fine because I can go to e4 with my bishop and then maybe even c6. Or just hold it there. That's probably fine as well. So this is not actually a threat, but like this might be. Which is why I also kind of don't want to castle short side anymore. I think I want to go here and my opponent goes here and we just play on. So that's what kind of, well, not really happens. I played knight c6 here. And with the points, my next two moves should probably be queen d7 and castle long, and then we just play on. However, my opponent plays a move that, well, my opponent plays knight d4 here, which is really interesting because, well, if they want to take, that's probably good for white, but if I take, then they take with the pawn. That's also good for white. So I want to try to avoid that. And I get some things here, and because also this diagonal opens up, so bishop g2 is also a threat. However, this diagonal also opens up, and more specifically this diagonal opens up. So I thought I saw this nice line to go into, which was bishop e4, and, well, the rook is hanging, so my opponent, you can take in between. I think that's probably fine, and then we just play on. My opponent played rook g1 first though, and then I played knight e5. And here I saw the next couple of moves already. There is a threat here. You have to defend. You can't actually do this, I don't think, because then I take and c5 wins a piece. Because of knight f3. But you do need to defend this a second time, so you have to play bishop e2 here, which my opponent did. Then I still play c5. And, well, the knight gets kicked and I get f3. And that doesn't really do all that much, but like after knight b3 I can play, I don't even need to do anything there. I might even play like queen b6 or actually queen c7 there. And just continue playing, maybe f5 or something, I don't know. On this same, I just, like, maybe, actually I think I probably would play knight f3 check on both of these and trade the piece and then put my bishop here back or here or wherever. And yeah, we just play on. However, my opponent also has knight f5 here, which threatens this, and if I'm not careful, f3 also is on the way, and my bishop might be, well, so it's not trapped yet, but knight f5 does other things like attack here, and maybe f4, and then this knight gets kicked, and knight f5 is just a good move. And so what I saw this already, and I saw that I can take. They have to take like this, which is just kills the pawn structure, but attacks my pawn, and I can play bishop f6, and my bishop is good, my knight is good. Give me two moves and my king is fine, and then I'm totally fine here. Like, even bishop b5 doesn't do anything because worst case I can move my knight back. That's probably what's going to happen, but yeah. However, we got to this position, my opponent castled, and I realized something terrible. This is actually very, very bad for me. This is atrocious, it's terrible. It's hilarious how bad this is. And the point is this. So if we go 3 moves back, this pawn is defended thrice, attacked actually 0 times, a total of 0 times. And now remove one defender, had 2 attackers at the same time, but I get rid of one. Remove a defender, add an attacker, suddenly it's attacked twice, and defended only once. And how do you defend it the second time? And there's no way. There's no good way. I think if you really want to play that to defend it, you have to go here. And if not, then, well, I mean, this is dead. So the white actually has a couple of good moves. So like bishop g5, and I don't want to let them take, but I can't take either, so I have to let them take, which is already sad. Then, like, let's say this, take, I can't take back with the king, because then d6 falls. And then f4, my knight gets kicked as well. And, like, the rook gets in, bishop c5, bishop c4, sorry, and yeah, that was probably the alternative to what I did. I was just saying something. So I didn't do that. But this point of bishop g5, trading off these bishops, and then f4 kicking out my knight, with the point that this bishop will be good on f3 or c4 or something, that is very standard. And even in the position, well, that I wanted to get, that's just white still has an advantage because of this combination. Because, I mean, it looks like if I get one move, I mean, my pieces are decent, and I have a center technically, not really, but if I just get one move, I defend this again, and yeah, play just goes on. So what I did is actually I played queen a5 with counterattack here and maybe some mate issues. And I didn't calculate, of course. Well, I saw that everything else was absolutely terrible. If I defend like this, then I lose g7. So sorry, here. If I do this, then g7, and we also looked at this, and I also, after like bishop c4, queen c5, I lose f7 as well. So I'm down 2 pawns in this position, and I have to keep that, which probably doesn't happen. We looked at castling, which is also like really scary. I think it's probably best to not even take this then. I think it's better to just play, what was the play again in this position? I don't know, probably just this or something. Maybe you do take it, but I think castling is probably terrible as well. Queen a5 has, well, this counter threat, and maybe rook d8, which could trap or win a queen in theory. That's actually kind of close to working, at least. I'm not sure if it does. It's just, there are some things that I saw, but it's not up to me to calculate this. It's up to my opponent, and so my opponent basically has 2 moves, either a3, which, like, let's humor me for a second, that if this happened and I castle long, I think I am not worse than 0.3 behind. So, like, let's say this. This was the line that I assumed would happen. Take, and I take like this. f4, my knight also gets kicked to here, because otherwise I lose this pawn, and like queen f6. Or defend this. Or neither, or like bishop. I don't know what you do. Probably this is fine, but Maybe that gives me a bit of counterplay that you shouldn't give me, because maybe I just play queen c7 and like this is still a thing. Oh, you have this check as well. And I mean, play goes on, we're equal, just we'll see. That's what I hoped would happen actually. If this doesn't work, then I lose, of course, clearly. So my opponent took a while. My opponent needed to calculate everything. I just needed to see that everything else was losing, and this is the only chance. I didn't need to see if this was losing or not. My opponent took on d6, and this is really it's insane how terrible this is. I did go for queen takes a2, of course, because otherwise I'm down 2 pawns, because I also lose this one and maybe get mated as well. Maybe you can win this one even. And like rook d5 is on the way. So I basically had to try something. However, you get bishop g5 and then you have to play knight c6, and you still have to take, and you just lose rook because this is checkmate. Cool, right? So, and the other way is here and win a rook. Still checkmate? Yes. Cool. Okay. Yeah. It's just like it's one move. If I get 2 moves here, I think I'm better, or not better, but I think I'm almost equal. And I get mated in 5 moves. And I'm down 2 pawns. Actually, the game ended here, but yeah. So let's see how I did. Well, terribly, of course. This is main line stuff. Yes, I'll put eval here. Yeah, knight c3 is a move you do have to take, and everything else is mediocre at best. D takes. Yeah, this is fine. Yeah, bishop g4 is not great then. There are some things with queen d4 and later on queen d5 that can work, and I guess I have to take here then. So after h3 here and queen d5, I do have to take here. And I was going to do that. Oh, bishop h6, bishop a6. That's interesting. h4 is not a move. Bishop come on here and this, and play continues. But yeah, and you also have that here because you attack the other second pawn. But now this is really just fine, kind of fine, I thought. But maybe not. And I also really want to do this, but that's... yeah, that's also terrible. Okay. But g4, yeah. Bishop g6, now I'm okay. Knight c6 is fine. Knight d4. Yeah, I think I assumed at least that if the plan with knight f5 and stuff and taking that, if that doesn't work, which it seems to not do, then I think this entire line with bishop e4 is bad. But Engine seems to disagree still. Rook g1. Or knight e5 is then probably bad as well. Yeah. Or and c5 seems decent. g6, I had that as an option, of course, as well. But then I thought they would just take my bishop and f4 and no, that's probably fine. Maybe f5 after that. I think, yeah, I could have done that. But it's taking, and now it's really bad. And yeah, there's just nothing c5, c4 funny. Castling I had as an option, but like I looked at it with my opponent, and it's just everything sucks. After this, and after every move, everything sucks. So I tried to maybe claim a tempo, and it doesn't work. You have... Okay, apparently after a3 you are +1. I did not expect that. Yes, queen takes. You have to play g6, take, and f4, knight here, bishop check, and queen f6. I mean, my analysis was pretty accurate here. And queen c7, and play goes on. Rook e1. No, this is fine, right? Play... Oh, and you lose that pawn. Okay. Play doesn't necessarily completely go on. But it's not that clear of a pawn. It's this pawn that you're out ahead. Or this pawn. Pick your poison. This is not that easy to win. I think this is pretty playable. But this is not. And now everything is dead, yeah. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I think that's... I thought that was funny. Yeah. I mean, I can get demolished, and I played a game recently where I got demolished because I lost an exchange on f7 and everything was bad. But yeah, this is... I don't even want to call this embarrassing. I think it's okay. I think I did well. I mean... I missed g6, but like... After missing g6, it's just over, right? Or castling. And g6 I should have probably played, but... I saw the position and it looked good. But maybe not. Unfortunate. Happens. Next week will be the next competition match. I'll see you there.